Why standest thou afar off, O Yahweh? Why hidest thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the I am abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous, and thy judgments are far out of his sight. For as for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud, and under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places does he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He crouches and humbles himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And he hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hid in his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Yahweh, O God, lift up thy hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn God? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest the mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. The I am is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his hand, out of his land, yes. The I am, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare thy heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. Psalms chapter 10. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me in my seed forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you that are watching me on this platform, I'm T. Clay, and those of you that are watching on other platforms that are shared. And we thank God for you, you, and you. Yes, we do. Yes, you are precious in his sight, even your faith and your dedication to the ways, statutes, commandments, and ordinances, and even the law of the Most High. Yes, we get that right. Yes, a beautiful day, a beautiful day. As I said yesterday, I was going to show you that part where God said women rule over them. Now, if you turn to Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12, it says, for my people, children are their oppressors, and the women, or the woman, rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Now, whatever it says, what it says, I don't care how you say what it means. It says what it says, period. And that's what the prophet hath conveyed unto the people from what he hath received from the Almighty. Yes. Yes, and we're going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, those of you that are listening to me. Yes, we thank God for those of you that have subscribed. We thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning. We thank God for those of you that have been just moseyed in here and there's about. We thank God for you, yes. And we also thank God for those of you that have just subscribed. Yes, we give God the glory and the praise. Yes, go through the archives. Yes, indulge yourself. Yes, learn of the Most High, even through the books that they have threw away and said they're no good and because of their own agenda. And we thank God for those of you that are about to subscribe. We call those things that are not as though they are. Yes. We're in the book of not Jubilees, but Jasher. I can get tongue twisted on that sometime. the book of Jasher. Beautiful book, beautiful. Yes, it is a very beautiful book because it contains even those things that wasn't written in the Septuagint and the Pentateuch, the details that we need in this day and time because of so much deception. These books contain the details that we need to be able to watch even unto prayer until that great and notable day, that we might be able to walk cautiously before the Almighty, knowing what is behind all the things that are occurring, even spirits, as Abraham had prayed that they should not have rule or sway his heart. Yes. And we thank God that even in the book of Lot, and some of you might see behind me that behind me is just a small map of, it's called Baedra. It's really what is depicted as Sodom. That is Sodom Gomorrah. Yes, Baedra, right back there, yes. Now, it's depiction of Sodom and Gomorrah on that map, and it's just, should I say, what do you say, east-west of the Dead Sea. But it's over in the land of Jordan, not in the land of Israel. Now, where Abraham stood was in the Jerusalem, or near the Jerusalem, where Telluride is, and he saw the smoke coming up from the cities of Sodom, which are along that path on the south, in south of him, which was Sodom. And also the proof that they have of that I've understood. Now, these places are accessible. They are really accessible. You can go there if you have the means to do so. Now, they have and they will also give you a tour of the salt and the sulfur. I mean, you can get a tour of the Dead Sea of those areas. There are people that are willing to make a little buck, to do things about, with that. There's no sense in just, you can go to Scripture, but when you can take Scripture and then geology and, should I say, archaeology and all these things and combine them together, then you have sound doctrine. You have this proof. You have this thing, yes, that you can say, I've been there, I know. Or you can say, well, based on this video or based on what they've shown that they've been there, and they're showing me that this is the sulfur that fell from the sky. And if that is true, this is the land of Israel, for sure. But Israel, that's only the northern kingdom. Now, all back there is also, you have the southern kingdom too, which is very big. But we just say this in order to just cap off of what we have read about Sodom and Gomorrah. Our political system and many political systems in the world are based on the way of Sodom and Gomorrah. Even your jail cells, your judges, they all have this spirit of those of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities that God have depicted. This is probably one of the reasons why they got rid of this book. Yes. Now we're in chapter 20. We go on to something else. And at that time, Abraham journeyed from the plain of Mamre. Now Abraham was in the plain of Mamre, which should have been pretty close to where Jerusalem. This is in the land of Canaan also. And he went to the land of the Philistines, which is Jordan, yes. And he dwelt in Gerar. Now it was in the 25th year of Abraham's being in the land of Canaan, and the 100th year of the life of Abraham, that he came to Gerar in the land of the Philistines. And they entered the land, and he said to Sarah his wife, say thou art my sister, to anyone that shall ask thee, in order that we may escape the evil of the inhabitants of the land. Now, Sarah was only 1 year younger than Abram. But even in her old age, she was beautiful. I mean, you're talking about a beautiful woman, mature-looking, beautiful woman, I would suspect. I mean, fit. Fit because, number one, she had to walk and do those things that are right. She wasn't eating a lot of bread and fatty foods and stuff. It's just the way those women and men back in those days had to work. They had to walk. They had to... And then when they ate, they had to wait on the food because they had to kill it, to eat it. And then many times they would have to share it because it would spoil the next day. So the next day would be a continual thing. Okay, they didn't have no breakfast, lunch, or dinner as we have it. You don't need all that. You just need a good, healthy meal. And maybe, graze here and there. That's about all. I don't believe the hype. Now, and as Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Philistines, the servants of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, saw that Sarah was exceedingly beautiful. I mean, this woman apparently she hasn't aged. Now, some of you wear all this old sloppy makeup. They didn't have makeup back then. Now, the Egyptian women did use, according to, those in Ethiopia or in the women of that day, they did use a charcoal, and they would burn a stick, and they would line under their eyes. That was all the makeup they usually had made until they started painting their faces. Later on. Much later on. But anyway, as Abraham was dwelling, in verse 3, as Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Philistines, the servants of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, saw that Sarah was exceedingly beautiful. And they asked Abraham concerning her, and he said, "She is my sister." And the servants of Abimelech went to Abimelech, saying, "A man from the land of Canaan is come to dwell in the land, and he has a sister that is exceedingly fair." And Abimelech heard the words of his servants who praised Sarah to him. And Abimelech sent his officers, and they brought Sarah to the king. And Sarah came to the house of Abimelech, and the king saw that Sarah was beautiful. Wow, no makeup. She didn't have no weaves in her hair. But she was beautiful because she was raised how to be a real woman according to the statutes, commandments, and ordinances and laws of the Most High, and also conduct herself accordingly. She knew the value of her man, her husband. She knew the value of herself. And she knew how to do the things that should be done. This is probably why when she taught Eve and Hagar her ways, that Hagar was just like being with her. You saw one, you saw the other. Now, and he approached, and he said, and what is this? What is that man to thee? No, he saw that she was beautiful. I'm sorry. I got a little sidetracked. But anyway, he saw that Sarah was beautiful, and she pleased him exceedingly. Verse 7. And he approached her and said to her, "What is that man to thee whom with thou didst come into our land?" And Sarah answered and said, "He is my brother. And he came from the land of Canaan to dwell wherever we could find a place." And Abimelech said to Sarah, "Behold, my land is before thee. Place thy brother in any part of this land that pleaseth thee, and it will be our duty to exalt and elevate him above all the people of the land, since he is thy brother." Her beauty did this because the man he desired after her. Now, that doesn't give you the right of, just because of the beauty of a woman, that she ought to take advantage of the men, that she has any power. But this is the thing that God have given to the woman, that she might attract a mate. Now, once she's attracted a mate, then the other men, you count it out. The same thing with animals. Once they have attracted their mate, the lion he gets his pride, he fights over his pride, and he has won the prize. And that prize is that he might bear children with that lioness. Just giving you an example. And she is his till it is taken all over again. He kills all the male children, that there is no competition. And those that are his, they will bear his sense and everything, and he will know who they are. This is the way God set it up. Now, and Abraham went forth from the king, and the king's presence followed him. And in the evening, before the men lie down to rest, the king was sitting upon his throne, and a deep sleep fell upon him. And he lay upon the throne and slept till morning. And he dreamed that an angel of the I Am came to him with a drawn sword in his hand, and the angel stood over Abimelech and wished to slay him with the sword. And the king was terrified in his dream. Now, this is the second time that this has happened to Abram. Now, this is the same thing with those of you who have beautiful wives, or those women that are beautiful that have husbands. You're going to get these men that's going to talk to you. Some of them are going to be very rich. Some of them are going to have many statures. But your faithfulness below. Abraham was rich, probably not as rich as King Abimelech, but Sarah knew what her purpose was. See, this is where you have to walk in your purpose. You have to know what God has for you. And you have to marry in that purpose too, man, especially you. And then the woman has to see her purpose in you. And this is what causes marriages to last a long time. And she will not be swayed by money or looks or whatever, but she know her purpose is with you. And both of you come to that purpose, and you will work together for it. In verse 14, and the angel answered and said to Abimelech, behold, thou diest on account of the woman which thou did yesternight bring to thy house. She is married, a married woman, the wife of Abraham, who came to thy house. Now, therefore, return that man his wife, for she is his wife. And shouldest thou not return her, know that thou wilt surely die, thou and all belonging to thee. In other words, he's going to cut off everything you got, Abimelech, if you don't return that man's wife back. This man is blessed and highly favored. Many of you say you're blessed and highly favored, but you can't even keep a husband. You can't even keep a wife. Now, on that night, there was a great outcry in the land of the Philistines. The inhabitants of the land saw the figure of a man standing with a drawn sword in his hand, and he smote the inhabitants of the land with the sword, and he continued to smite them. This is the angel. And the angel of the I Am smote the whole land of the Philistine on that night. And there was a great confusion on that night. On the following morning, they experienced some of that Israeli stuff. That Egyptian stuff. Oh, how horrible it could be. And every womb was closed, and all their issues, and the hand of the I Am was upon them on the account of Sarah, because her womb it was destined to birth. Her womb was destined to birth that of the children of Jacob. Yes, she was promised that from the Most High. And this also to increase her faith, her confidence in the Most High also. Now, in verse 18, and in the morning Abimelech rose with terror and confusion and with a great dread. And he sent and had his servants called in. And he related his dream to them, and the people were greatly afraid. And one man standing amongst the servants of the king answered the king, saying, O sovereign king, restore this woman to her husband, for he is her husband. For the like happened to the king of Egypt when this man came to Egypt. Glory, glory, glory to the Most High. Yes, woman, you don't have no business even laying with a man because of his stature. The husband that God give you is the husband God give you. A man, the wife God give you is the wife God give you. Yes. And you stand on it. And if anything, after that, God will justify your marriage in many occasions and show you why he chose the way he did. Now, and Pharaoh said and took this woman for a wife, is what he's saying. Now, he came back in verse 20. He said concerning his wife, she is my sister, for such is the manner of doing when he cometh to dwell in a land in which he is a stranger. Now, many times, see, Abraham is a stranger in many lands. Egypt. Now, here he's a stranger in the land of Philistines. And he was stranger in the land of Canaan, but they befriended him. But now, God gets angry when we deal with a stranger after the hue of his skin, his countenance, his facial features, or what land he comes from. If he mean you no harm, God said, you shall not oppress the stranger. This is all still where it's coming from. God hates oppression of the stranger. I'm not saying white or black. I'm saying whoever he is. You shall not oppress the stranger. Let him walk through. If he's not harming you or doing anything to you, I don't care if he's dressed with rags on his body. Let him walk. Yes. Continue a little bit more. And he said concerning his wife, she is my sister, for such is his manner of doing when he cometh to dwell in the land in which he is a stranger. Verse 21, and Pharaoh sent and took this woman for a wife, and the I am brought upon him grievous plagues. Now this here travel. Now you can realize that this has traveled to the point where you can tell that Egypt and the land of Canaan and the Philistines, which is Jordan, were not very far. Now, if you go all the way to South Africa, that's just way too far. Kenya, that's way too far. All these lands that they talk about is way too far, way too far. That's a big journey there. That's not what God is talking about. And plus, you're talking about all the places of Japheth and all those things. He says in verse 22, now therefore, O sovereign king, know what happened yesternight to the whole land, for there was very grievous consternation and great pain and lamentation, for we know that it was on account of the woman which thou didst take. And before we end, verse 23, now therefore restore this woman to her husband, lest it should befall us as it did to Pharaoh king of Egypt and his subjects, that we may not die. And Abimelech hastened and called, and had Sarah called for, and she came before him, and he that Abraham called for, and he came before him. And with that, we're going to say,